Hey, good morning, folks. I'm your host, BKP. We are live here in downtown Blue Ridge. Beautiful Friday, nice, cool, beautiful Friday morning in downtown Blue Ridge. If you're new to the show, we let you know that you may hear the train whistle, the bells. You're going to hear the background noise of what we call small town America starting up on this beautiful Friday morning. We have, let's see what all we got going on this morning. We've got Ask the Doc with Dr. William Whaley in just a minute or two here. We have the all-star political panel. We have a change on the panel. We got some people traveling, visiting family, so we got a little change on the panel. Somebody coming in that's going to let us know how they really feel. How about that? And that's the All-Star Political Panel. Then we have the North Georgia Senior Living with Jesse Barton, the Community Relations Director at Cameron Hall. And we always round out our week. And my favorite part, I love everybody on the show, but the pet of the week from the Humane Society of Blue Ridge, that's what we got coming up. So we just want to reach out and say to our friends on the coast, Dorian is still coming up the coast, and the winds have slowed down, but you're still dealing with a lot of rain and flooding along the coastline from Georgia to South Carolina and up into the Outer Banks of North Carolina. So all of our friends in that area, stay safe. Did you notice the hurricane did not turn into the event the media was hoping for? There used to be a time when we reported on something that happened, when it took place. And when it comes to weather, we did everything we can to put out warnings and give you information. But as you well know, a storm of anything, tornadoes or whatever, that's an event for the media. This did not turn into the mini-series they were looking for. I know sometimes people say, do you really want to say that? Yeah, I'm going to, because there's some people in the newsrooms this morning that are not able to report numbers of death, mayhem, destruction. And hey, I guess maybe that's their job in the corporate corrupt media. But I tell you what, I do want to say this to the good people of the Bahamas. Double digits, I think it's up to 20 now on the death toll, maybe more. The country is totally devastated there, the Bahamas, the big island. So, that's just a disaster. And I hope, there's times when I say spend money and not spend money, but I hope our country does what we could do, because many of us enjoy the cruises in the Bahamas, and I know this is not Nassau that got destroyed, but still yet. So I hope our country, we do what we can to help rebuild the Bahamas. Now I have all the people out there screaming, well, what about Puerto Rico? We'll talk about that with the All-Star Political Panel. I'll tell you what, I will tell you on the panel why I think we need to help rebuild the Bahamas. I'm your host, BKP. It's 8:06. We got to get out of here because we got Dr. Whaley and a great show lineup right after these messages.
Ace is your healthful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Do you feel like healthcare has become too impersonal?
3 times an hour, I'll get you in, I'll get you out.
At Lifetime Medical Center, you're more than a number. We get to know you, not just your medical issues. Dr. Alana Kent is board certified in family practice and offers same-day appointments. She and her staff treat conditions from minor to chronic issues. Lifetime Medical Center, convenient to Jasper and Blue Ridge.
This may sting a little.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Hey folks, we're back. I'm your host BKP. Now I've been known to be a little loud anyway, right?
Yeah, we got to be loud. The
Gotta
truck.
be. Hey, it's Georgia. We're at Sycamore Crossing. We got trucks. Things happen here. Live show. How you doing, Dr.
I want everybody to look though. With a dress code today is a black coat. Neither one of us had one. I got out of my truck in my usual go-to-work clothes. I said I'd step back in. I got my jacket. I was looking up, and BKP was over here setting up, and he was going to get his black jacket. It's 54 degrees on my porch.
Exactly.
We're in the middle of a heat wave because of global warming, you know. And 54 degrees on my porch is just terrible global warming. I just want you to know that.
But I love this.
And that hurricane's all because of global warming. And I was in a hurricane on the island of on Edisto Island, right there in South Carolina, in 1965. We had 1 day's warning because Navy ships at sea said, "Hey, here's a hurricane coming your way." I mean, none of this prediction and everything. It was quite interesting and a part of my youth. So anyway, we won't talk about it. You have to talk about it.
Well, I don't know if we have to. Obviously, people want to see it, so you give the people what they want. But I love the fact that we're able to put all the computer models up, and we're able to track by hour and see, simulations and all that.
Yeah, but every time.
But I don't know if they need to broadcast it.
Yeah, but every time it rains in the Canary Islands, they give it a dead-gum name, and people start watching the rainstorm in the Canary Islands and thinking 4 weeks from now it's going to be a hurricane in Alabama. question number one. Question number one. This is a pretty good question, and because we've been talking about brain tumors here,
Right,
and
exactly.
stuff, and this points out some things. Put up that first big picture there, Josh. Hello, come in, Morrill. All right.
This is the one. How is the
Survival rate.
Yes.
Yeah, you want to read it? You want me to read it?
You can go for it.
All right. How is survival rate measured? When the oncologist said to me that the survival rate for my sister's type of cancer is 5 to 6 months, I just want to know how accurate that is, and how do they come up with that average?
Very interested in that myself.
It's simple sounding, isn't it? Well, first of all, they did not tell you what kind of cancer it was.
Right.
2, it did not tell you the age of the sister, and it did not tell you whether she was going to be treated or had refused treatment. So let's begin with that. You got that first slide up there, Josh? Put the baseball game off. You got that one up there? Oh,
What is
All
the
right.
actual acronym for the age index? What is that called? Where you not make determinations, because determination is just that.
Yeah.
But where you look at the window of the period of time.
All right, so we treat people according to their biological age. You used to treat people according to their calendar age, and
Okay.
so we try to predict. If you've got a guy in his 50s who's got unstable heart disease and brittle diabetes, versus a guy like George Burns who's in his 80s and is doing what he was doing at the same time, George Burns would be more aggressively treated than the guy in his 50s. So anyway, let's look at this first thing here. This is the different incidences and the different survivals of all kinds of cancer in the United States. Cancer cases on the one side and death rates on the other. So it's too complicated for people to look at. But if you have a whole ton of breast cancer cases, when you flip over here to deaths, you see like less than 1/4 of the breast cancer cases are going to die. All right? Prostate cancer, almost none of the people who get prostate cancer are going to die. You get down here to kidney cancer, and many of them are going to die. So it's so important to know what kind of cancer did that patient have. All right? Got that? Mm-hmm. All right, go to that next one. It shows the bar graph. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. Well, here comes a Tupelo T-man opening up over there. All right. So now we're going to go to countries. I made this shows United States incidence rates I picked one cancer, so this is colon cancer. So here's the incidence rate for colon cancer in the United States, that long light bar there. This little tiny short bar is the mortality.
Okay.
So obviously the survival rate for colon cancer at the year this was published is really pretty good. But if you look, the mortality rates are longer in other countries where the incidence rates are less, meaning that a higher percentage of patients in these countries will die of their malignancy than in the United States. Now, why is that? I'm going to give you the one example of Australia. Now, you can take those all off and give us back to the black screen, will you? In 1976, I made a trip to Australia on behalf of Hospital Corporation of America to look at hospitals to buy. They were looking at 30 hospitals. They were the largest hospital company in the world. They had about 500 hospitals. They were building the hospital system for Saudi Arabia. And so I went down there to look at these hospitals in terms of I was the chairman of the board of their biggest hospital, and I knew a little bit about the financing of medicine. So there is a philosophy in Australia that you'll hear in any Australian movie or TV show, she'll be right, mate. You hear it all the time. She'll be right, mate. The car is rumbling and making a noise, she'll be right, mate. So the Australian who has an early symptom of a malignancy, let's say a cough or weight loss, one of the cancer's danger signals, or a change in bowel habit and a little blood, cancer, 7 danger signals, which were common in the 70s. He says she'll be right, mate, until he can't go any longer, and the colon cancer either obstructs and he has to go to the emergency room, or he becomes so anemic that he's weak. So by virtue of not seeking medical attention, most of the colon cancers and lung cancers in the 70s in Australia were diagnosed at a stage where they'd already spread, where in our country they hadn't. So the 5-year survival of colon cancer or lung cancer in Australia would have been 1/4 of what it was in our countries. That you still with that?
Yes.
Right? Because now we're focusing on the United States, and we're going to go to colon cancer. Josh, the big one with the survival rates for colon cancer. All right. I'm going to first show just what it says, and then we're going to go back and look at where these numbers come from. This first thing says, observed 5-year survival rate and percentage for early stage colon cancer. That's roughly 75%.
Right.
Now, if you showed up with colon cancer like in Australia that had gotten in your lung and your liver, your 5-year survival rate would have been 20%. So stage of disease is the hallmark of how long you're going to survive, right? Well, this question doesn't tell us that. Go to the one about colon cancer survival. Now, you just got through seeing that stage 1, early stage, that was 75%. This next one's going to tell you 5-year survival for early stage colon cancer is 90%. Now, wait a minute. How can that be? If that one's 75%, this is 90%. So, Josh, go to this little chart here, and then we're going to work our way through it here. At time 0, everybody is surviving, right?
Yes.
All right. So if you take localized or distant disease and then mark it out by how many years people survive, with localized colon cancer, you survive 10 years at 84%.
Right.
Now, please listen to this. Survival statistics for a malignancy are strictly survival statistics. So all causes of death go into the survival. So if your patient is 70 with early stage cancer of the colon, and he dies in 4 years of a heart attack, diabetes, a car wreck, or his kids kill him, he is a colon cancer death. So the survival rate over time is the total survival rate, not colon cancer specific survival rates. So now you're getting into picking how you can answer this question for this lady. So pull up this last one here of cancer mortality that's got the graph. So if this goes back to 1900 all the way out to 2010, and if you just look at this graph, that's lung cancer deaths at the top. Cigarette smoking becomes economically possible in the early 1900s. It starts dropping off after World War II or Korea, so lung cancer peaks and falls because of smoking. Now, if you go here and look at prostate cancer starts dropping off immediately once we learned how to find it with the PSA in the 80s and treat it. But you look here at colorectal cancer, it starts falling off also at about the same time, and that is because we learned then that you treat colon cancer after its original diagnosis if it has a positive lymph node with chemotherapy like breast cancer. So when they go, now pull up this last one, we'll be through this. So when they pull up these statistics, first it depends upon the age at which they began, and second, what you're going to do to be treating them. So you could pull this one down. We'll go back to 2 weeks ago. We're talking about brain tumors. I said that a high-grade brain tumor like McCain had or Ted Kennedy had has a 6-month survival with surgery only. Would have a 6 weeks to 3 months survival not operated on. So that would be the survival rate for brain cancer. If you treat it with surgery alone, it's 6 months. If you treat it with surgery and radiation therapy, it's 12 months. If you treat it with surgery, radiation therapy with chemotherapeutic sensitivity, that's 18 months. If you treat it with chemotherapy with radiation sensitivity and post-treatment chemotherapy, it's 24 months. And then I showed you that hat with the electronic beams going through the brain that has just started, and it looks like that's going to extend it another 30%. So, generally they would tell a family, it looks like your father has a high-grade brain tumor. The general survival is 6 weeks to 3 months, but if we operate, it'll be 6. So it becomes a series of how you're going to intervene upon it as to how long the survival might be. So going back to, so here's how you get the survival. At that one I was showing you that day 1, 100% of the people are alive, and at year 10, 90% of the people with localized disease are alive. All you do then is you take the people and you put them in what's called SEER. That's done by the CDC, Survival and End Results Reporting is what SEER stands for. And so they just every year check with the doctor, the hospital, the patient, or the family, is he alive or is he dead? Is he alive or is he dead? And so that's where the survival statistic comes from. So in the 3rd year, if he died in a car wreck or he died of a heart attack, and when they call you up in year 3, is your dad alive? No, he's dead. They don't. That's it. He survived 3 years. So that's how the statistics are arrived at. The survival, all-cause mortality. And we have disease-specific survivals, which are always better. But if you want to know the 5-year disease-specific survival in 2019 for any cancer, you've got to go back 5 years to when that patient was diagnosed and treated, right? For them to have survived 5 years, they had to be diagnosed 5 years ago. Well, in the last 2 years, we've come up with all this immunotherapy like we're giving Jimmy Carter that's brand new. So that impact on 5 years survival won't be known for another 5 years. So 5-year survival always lags the most modern therapy.
Well, with this question also, obviously, if your oncologist is up to the point where you're talking about a time of survival, then your oncologist knows your history all the way through, your treatments, what's been going on, and everything like that.
Yeah, I don't want to pull you out of your pull you out of your role as moderator, but as family member of a recently diagnosed patient, how has your family been educated by their treatment team about survival, response rates, and future outlooks in the person in your family who's going through treatment now?
Well, I don't want to say statistically, because the team of doctors, the oncologists that are working with our family, they've just done an outstanding job explaining what could happen, what the possibilities. They've done an outstanding job, but they've let us know what the rates are because of the patient's age, what could be the differences, what medications the patient could take based on age and stuff. So it's one of those things I'll say that I've listened to you for years in these questions. We need the details.
But they've dealt with you well.
Very well.
They've been open and honest.
Open and honest.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so if this patient here was asking the right questions,
exactly,
they would have gotten that answer without having to ask me. That's what I'm trying to get to.
No, I agree. No, I agree 100%. And it's now, for years, and like you say, coming out of the zone here of moderating whatever and dealing with this personally, for years I've heard you say to the viewers, give me as much detail as you can. And here recently, I've always known that, but here recently, I see it applying. The more detail, what we know as the cancer and so forth. And I want to move on, but the team of oncologists, that are working with our family. They're just amazing, and this guy's working with us. Very open and honest. I will tell you this, and I don't know if I'm stepping out there. You tell me if you're going through something and you don't feel somebody's giving you open and honest information, you got to check into that, because that's one thing I got to say. These guys,
move on.
Absolutely, these guys are just amazing when it comes to that.
I think people spend more time purchasing an automobile, looking at consumer reports and road and track and so forth, and picking out what they want, and then trying to get the best price and the best service than they do in picking medical care.
I would say this and move on. Say another thing is the lead doctor in this right now. We've had some discussions about getting second opinions, having other people see records, things we might do. And this doctor looked at us and said, if this was my family member, I'd be doing the same exact thing as you.
And you did.
Right, but you know what I'm saying. So
you found a world expert.
We did. But that's important, and I don't find many, I don't like to say good doctor, but you're dealing with somebody that's really good when they say, hey, get every piece of information you can.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. That's right. That's why you need to buy that Ford truck instead of that daggum Nissan.
All right, let's not go there. But
All right.
I apologize for rambling on about.
No,
that.
it was a good one. That was worth doing.
All right, so let's get into some big question. I want to read this one because this is big. Actually, I'm interested in this. My young daughters want to use nail polish, but I have heard that many nail polishes contain formaldehyde and can cause cancer. Is it safe for my daughters to use it regularly without increasing the risk of them getting cancer? Is it too young to start?
That is not too young to start. Well, maybe too young to start from a social perspective, perhaps, but not from a health perspective.
Okay.
But the question made a link and a jump that you can't make. Made a jump that you can't make. They want to use nail polish, but I've heard that nail polishes can contain formaldehyde and can cause cancer. She's never heard that. She's never heard that nail polish could cause cancer. What has she heard?
Formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde might cause cancer. Show that poor eyelid picture. This is one of the great difficult diagnoses to reach in family medicine. This is the young woman with red, scaly eyelids, and no reason for it. She doesn't put eye makeup on. She hasn't been in the sun. Nobody knows why she has. And you've seen people like that. Does it show up well there? All right. This patient may spend hundreds or thousands of dollars seeing doctors, but the first time she sees me or sees Dr. Wiegand, who's got some experience in this, we will tell her, you must stop using nail polish, perfume, because you probably have a mild allergy to the formaldehyde that is in your nail polish, and it is causing this. If you go to the second picture, which is a much uglier rash on an arm, you see that one? I'll tell you quickly about a player in the National Football League who had such severe dermatitis on his back, big, almost like acne-like boils, that he could not wear his shoulder pads and had to have constant surgical treatment, and it kept him off the field. So he went to dermatologists. They did biopsies. They couldn't figure out what it was. This poor guy, he changed brands of shoulder pads. They began to put foam and stuff under the shoulder pads. Short edition of a long story is we sent this guy to the Oxnard Clinic in New Orleans, to a very famous allergist who patch tested him, and he was allergic to the minor amount of formaldehyde that is used in making clothing. Go to this next picture.
Yeah, I've heard people like.
All right. Well, just show what formaldehyde is and then get rid of it, because we're going somewhere with that. And then this next one, you're going to leave it up a minute, the danger one, okay? The places where formaldehyde has danger to expose you, not just an allergy, most commonly is in my first day in medical school. First hour in medical school, we were broken up into groups of 4 people. There were 100 of us, that's 25 groups, and we were sent down into the bottom of the anatomy laboratory where there was a deep swimming pool that was equally the size of this gazebo, that was 5 feet deep and totally full of formaldehyde. And in it floated about 60 deceased people whose bodies were to be used in medical school anatomy for dissection. And we had drawn numbers 1 to 25. And my partner says, I win the lottery, I am the top guy, let me pick the number, and we got number 25. So you went down there, and number 1 got to choose the thinnest, skinniest one, and we got 25. We got some 300-pound person. But the point is, we had to go into the tank in our skivvy shorts, down into the formaldehyde, and bodily pull up our thing and put it on a gurney, and then push it into the anatomy room. And then for 1 year, this thing that smells like formaldehyde, we had to dissect for an entire year. So if you've ever dissected a frog in school that's been preserved by formaldehyde, or you've been to a museum where they've got Napoleon's heart or something in a jug, that's in formaldehyde. So that type, okay, pull down that danger and then go to that next one. Formaldehyde used to preserve things, that's what I just got through talking about, so pull that down. That type of formaldehyde exposure could cause various malignancies. But this next one shows you the kind of stuff formaldehyde is in. Now look at this. You're sitting on chairs. That says school desks. You wear a wrinkle-free shirt. You're wearing one right now. I can see it. Carpet and shoes. Shoes are huge. Every pair of shoes in the world is put together with formaldehyde. Particle board and a lot of the stuff this is made out of has formaldehyde in it. Nail polish has formaldehyde in it. And all mobile home floors and walls have got formaldehyde in it. So you're exposed to formaldehyde every minute of every day. Doesn't cause you a bit of trouble. So let's go to the next one. To more common. It says formaldehyde at the top. Here you go. Shampoo, baby soap, hair straighteners, everything that you can think of that you use in your home has preservatives in it, and where it says preservatives, it's frequently a formaldehyde base, but it isn't going to say formaldehyde. Look at this list here. Now there you got to go to chemical school for this. It may say preserved by quaternium 15 or by imidazole urea or diazolyl urea or DM hydratone. That's all. But there's 25 of these things that go back to that formula, formaldehyde with just a little wrinkle on them. So you got no blinking idea what you are exposing yourself to, that at the end of the day is probably formaldehyde. So don't worry about the nail polish. Keep your daughter away from the formaldehyde pit where you keep the cadavers. Don't worry about formaldehyde having preserved the frog for anatomy in school. And formaldehyde very rarely causes any malignancies at all, but it can. The reason that in 1994 it was labeled a possible cancer-causing agent was because people who were inhaling formaldehyde in their daily work with pure formaldehyde had an increase in cancer of the sinuses. Now, you haven't heard of anybody who had sinus cancer in your entire lifetime, so an increased incidence of sinus cancer is not a big public health threat, but it was enough to get the Green New Deal and the tree huggers to add it to the list of cancers.
Well, I want to thank whoever out there with the question on the nail polish, because it really led into, I like how you said nail polish you never heard nail polish cause. It was the formaldehyde, and that was a great, I think a lot of people have always, wanted to know, hey, what about formaldehyde? We hear a lot of stuff about it.
But it was a jump, wasn't it? It was a link.
But it's all around us. I mean, you're dealing with formaldehyde regardless of where you're at all day long somewhere.
Yeah. Right now, we are wearing...
And like anything else, you can have an allergy.
Yeah, right now, I'm wearing leather shoes, and you're wearing those sport-type shoes. Both of those are very heavily made with formaldehyde. I'm wearing a leather jacket and stretch jeans, which is made with formaldehyde. I am not wearing nail polish, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. So that's pretty clear on formaldehyde. And don't forget, we want to thank Georgia Cancer Research Center, North Georgia Cancer Research Center, affiliated with Northside Hospital for this segment. And we appreciate them. And before we close out, Dr. Whaley, I know you're getting ready to do some traveling, but what's going on out there this week that you want to share with the audience?
How many deaths have there been? We brought this up about the bad acute lung disease in vaping 2 weeks ago, and by then there were 300 known cases, most of them in the hospital on a ventilator. We had the first death last week. How many deaths have we had now?
I don't know.
We've had 3 deaths, all of them young, healthy teenagers who were vaping and using vape products that they bought at the 7-Eleven or at a filling station, and not the legitimate vape products that were made by Juul, even though Juul's getting sued for it. The second thing is the measles epidemic's over, everybody. Is it over because they immunized all those kids in New York and immunized those kids in Washington State? Or is it immunized because they did not let kids who had not been immunized go to summer camp? Or is it a combination of both? And it's obviously a combination of both, because that's how the public health attacked the measles epidemic. It will be back, so get your kids immunized against measles. Remember that it kills. This is not like the flu shot and people who say, oh, it's got stuff in it. Measles is a big deal. Now, we live in the mountains, and I know everybody up here knows people who have chickens or ducks or some type of poultry in their yard and in their home, right?
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, it's common everywhere. There have been 1,200 cases of salmonella in the last 8 weeks, not from poultry that you bought at the grocery store and made the mistake in cleaning. We've gone through this. That were caught from your backyard ducks and chickens. They are getting that from the world out there, and mostly this is children, because children play in the yard and they walk where the chickens have been, or the chickens have been up on the fence and they got their hands on there, then they go in the house and they got salmonella on their hands, and then they get salmonella, and there are a number of deaths. How many states do you think this has been found in this epidemic that is relatively short in length? Generally, when we begin with foodborne illnesses, it's in 4 states, and then it's in 8.
No, I don't know.
Pick a number. It could be Obama, 57 states, but how many?
23.
Expert panel, how many states? And this is an acute thing. How many states have had this? Had this salmonella from the chickens and ducks in the yard? 49.
49?
49. All the ones Hawaii, right? Every state except Hawaii has got the problem. So, Blue Ridge, we're probably the epicenter, but everybody's got chickens in the yard. But I mean, it's amazing. Something that's that quick has occurred in every state in the union except Hawaii. And and we can draw it to a close with that if you'd like, BK.
No, I'm picturing some friends of mine that have chickens, and
it could be chickens, ducks, guinea hens, any fowl at all. Well, let me tell you how to protect yourself. Primarily your kids, and they'll be under the age of 12, because they're playing in the yard and the chickens are in the yard.
Right.
So they have to wash their hands with soap and water when they come in, even if they've not touched the chicken, because they've touched where the chicken is. Now, what they say is if soap and water is not available and you're someplace, I hate to bow down to these women who carry the hand sanitizer in their pocketbook, but the answer would be hand sanitizer in the pocketbook, like my daughter carries for my grandkids when they've been on the lake. When they come up from the lake, she makes them hand sanitize, and I don't think there's a darn thing dirty about my boat, to be honest with you. But anyway, carry the hand sanitizer if you can't get them soap and water.
So we don't think there's anything dirty about Dr. Whaley's boat. Let's see, what are the takeaways this morning?
That's right. I mean,
Dr.
but
Whaley,
that's what she does.
I know you're going to do some traveling. You guys have a safe trip, you and Jane. We want to thank North Georgia Cancer Research Center, affiliated with Northside Hospital, for this segment. Now, if you'd like to ask the doctor a question, you send it to info, I-N-F-O, at fetchernews.com. Put in the subject line, Ask the Doc. Also, follow fetchernews.com Facebook page. And throughout the week, we highlight Dr. Whaley in this segment. You can put something on social media there, and we'll pull it off there.
I went to that page this morning, by the way. I think that page is not user-friendly for a guy that's 80 years old. I could click stuff, and I was doing it on my tablet. Maybe I need to do it on my computer.
Okay, we'll work with you on that.
We're going to have to give a what do you call that? A mini symposium for old people, how to work Facebook.
How to work Facebook. We'll work with you on that.
All right.
I'm your host, BKP. As soon as we return, we're in Blue Ridge, Georgia. You're hearing a lot of noise this morning. Live show here. Beautiful morning. And there's the train. We have the whistle and the bell. But we have the All-Star Political Panel as soon as we return. Again, thank you, North Georgia Cancer Research Center, affiliated with Northside Hospital. Josh, take us to break.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in J next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in J next to Walmart.
Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Circuit World, with multiple locations to serve you in Murphy and Franklin, North Carolina, Blairsville, Blue Ridge, and J, Georgia. Locally owned and operated since 1985. Appliances, electronics, and furniture. Name brand products like LG, Samsung, Dell, Whirlpool, Ashley, Catnapper, and more. No credit check, only 10% down on furniture, and only $10 down on any new lease purchase. Mention FYN10 for your special deal today at Circuit World.
go. Hey, folks, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. We're downtown, beautiful Blue Ridge, Georgia. Now, if you're just joining us, this is a live show, so you could hear some background noise. We heard the train bell. So we're at Sycamore Crossing. Time for the All-Star Political Panel. Bruce and Jane are traveling. Glad to have Cindy with us. You've been here before.
A few times.
Okay. Cindy and Rick. Let's do this. Let's start out. Cindy, as our guest this morning, what would be your first subject? We're going to let you have. What would be the first subject you want to cover this morning?
That's a mistake.
Well, that's my
kill
first
his
subject.
mic.
Yeah, my first subject. We need to. There's so much going on this past week with the hurricane and everything else. That would probably be first. But my first subject this morning, and Dr. Whaley led into it with talking about Obama thinking we had 57 states. But I want to talk a little bit about Obama and how well he's done since he left the presidency.
Okay. I'm interested in this. Okay, how well? I'll buy. How well has he done?
How well has he done?
All right.
Okay.
Well, Barack Obama's net worth at this point is estimated at $40 million. $40 million.
And he didn't have.
Seems like it was just
together.
yesterday he was handing out pamphlets on the street corner.
Right.
Exactly.
Trying to figure out what credit card he could use to pay his way to get into the. Excuse me.
No, that's all right.
I mean,
okay,
I've got kind of his history leading up
Go
to
ahead.
that.
Go ahead.
That type of thing. But here are the things that we need to know about Barack. $40 million. Part of that's due to $400,000 a year throughout his entire 8-year term. That's how much money he made each year.
Right.
Which helped him move himself up a little bit. He charges $400,000 for public speaking. I saw it everywhere from $400,000 to $1.2 million to speak in public.
All right.
That's helped him along a little bit. He has now. By the way, he's cost taxpayers $1,176,000 per year to subsidize his living.
Mm-hmm.
That's to subsidize him, taxpayers. He has now amassed a $242.5 million post-White House fortune.
$242 million.
$242 million is what he's amassed post-White House. Now, they say $40 million per year is his net worth. This is what he's amassed, what he's paid in taxes.
Okay, all right.
He does give $64,000 a year in to charities, 30 different charities.
What a guy.
We got to give him his due. Okay. He makes $205,700 a year in pensions. That's just what we, the American people, are paying him per year in his pension, which includes all of his health insurance and Secret Service for life.
So, what are you trying to say?
What I'm trying to say is...
Where are you going with this?
Okay, before he was president, basically most of his money came from, he made $80,000 from the Illinois Senate.
Right.
And he made $32,000 from the University of Chicago.
The Illinois Senate, where he voted present.
Yes.
Present.
Yes, right.
Go
and
ahead.
he made $32,000 from his University of Chicago Law School, where he lectured.
Right.
So he wasn't making quite close to $400,000 when
they
he
could go to
president.
Olive Garden a couple times a month.
Yeah, they could do okay with
Yeah.
that. That was in 2004.
Yeah, it was good enough for the money, right?
Exactly. Then in 2005, he wrote a book, The Audacity of Hope. And he made $1.9 million advance. He was advanced that much money. That same year, after speaking at the Democrat convention, he also earned $847,000 from another book. We'll all remember this book, The Dreams from My Father. And the dreams from his father actually helped him through that year, between the advance and the royalties, make $1,225,000. So now he's going into 2006. He's made $1 million, over $2 million, almost $3 million on book deals. So he's starting to roll. He's starting to pick up some money, okay? Basically, in 2006, all his royalties came from his father's book,
Right,
the book
I
about
remember
his
that.
father. 2007, he earned almost $3.3 million from Random House book royalties, and almost $816,000 from Distel and Godrich for his book. So now he's up to $5-6 million. Now we wonder why Bernie Sanders is making so much money. Remember the
I got it.
socialist?
I got it.
Books. Everybody write books. Let me tell you, it's a great thing to do. Then, when he was elected president, he owned somewhere between 1.1 million and 5.1 million in U.S. Treasury bills. So he's starting to invest in Treasury bills and so on and so forth. Okay, so and I've told you all
That
of
was
what
a
he's
signing
done.
bonus that he got when
Right.
the black limo pulled up.
Okay, so Mr. worth $40 million, now is, however, in a little bit of a, I don't know if we can call it a lawsuit. I guess it's a lawsuit. It's a trademark dispute.
Mm-hmm. He filed a lawsuit.
He filed a lawsuit because he wanted to be called, he and Muchel wanted to get together and decide to do Netflix and
Right.
some productions and all of this, and they needed a trademark. They needed a name. So they decided to call it Higher Ground Productions. Higher Ground Productions. When they went to apply for a trademark, there is already a Higher Ground Enterprises that does a lot of charity work and so on and so forth.
They help people develop online books.
Okay.
Yeah.
That type of thing. Well, so the trademark company, whoever they are, whoever gives you a
US
trademark,
Yeah.
would not give a trademark to the Obamas because the names were too close. They said they had to change their name. Well, the Obamas decided that no, the other guy, even though he was first, he should change his name because Obama was the
And
president
they're
of the
suing
United
him
States.
on top of it to try to
So
get it.
Obama now is trying to sue Higher Ground Enterprises because they want the trademark under Higher Ground Production. So
These
there's an
people are-
attorney in California who has called them the most despicable couple known to man because that goes totally against everything they've always preached. So this is all about what our ex-president, what he's worth, what he makes, what he thinks of himself. Of course, as far as I'm concerned, he is the most narcissistic of all the presidents that have walked this earth, but that's just my opinion.
Let me give you one other example of how they have forced their way because of who they think they are. Michelle Obama has got a book out by the name of Becoming. It was #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. I don't know if you saw this or not, but New York Times bestseller list used to be something that you could trust. See who's really selling books.
Right, exactly.
Judge Janine Pirro has a book out as well, and that book is Radicals, Resistance, and Revenge. It sold 17,000 more books than Muchel did, the week of introduction, but they dropped her to third. There was another book that outsold her as well. They put that one at second. They did the same thing to Molly Hemingway when she came out with a book about Kavanaugh's trial. The New York Times is so in the tank for the liberal side. They even go as much as to say we're putting Muchel up there at the top because they are who they are.
Well, I get it. You know, in everything, I'm listening to everything that you're telling me this morning where the Obamas are concerned, and I want to pull one thing out of there. You brought up, and I don't know if a lot of people remember this, the Democratic convention when he spoke.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I will never forget. Okay, my dad calling me after that,
Right.
and he said, "You better pay attention to this young black man from Illinois." He said, "I just watched," and a lot of people don't remember that speech, but that's where a lot of people picked up. We better pay attention to this guy.
That was his coming out party.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I remember that, and I'm glad you brought that up.
My sister did the same thing. She called me and she said, Everybody's in a tizzy over this guy. You better watch out for him.
Better pay attention to him. Absolutely. I'll never forget it. Now,
one thing off of that, talking about the convention and the first black man, I also looked up all of his accomplishments, and his accomplishments on Google go anywhere from the top 10 to the top 200. Now, where he had 200 accomplishments, I obviously missed 190 of them. I don't know. But anyway, you know, his first accomplishment on every list seemed to be that he was the first African-American president. So that's his first accomplishment. It's very interestingly, he's the first black president. He's the first African-American president. Yes, we all know that. But how many people know that he had a white mother?
Very few. Very
and
few.
Her name was Ann Dunham. She was very accomplished in her own right.
How far are you in this book that you're writing? I mean, you brought the footnotes, but how far are you in this thing that you're writing?
Well, it's amazing to me.
I live this at home, okay?
It's amazing to me, though, that everything that he ever touted, you know, from all of his racism with Trayvon Martin, with the, you know, Ferguson, everything else, and it was always, if you were on the black side of it, you were right, and the other guy was always wrong. The police were wrong. Everybody was wrong if they were white.
We've got to have a beer summit.
We were all on the black side, including his buddy Eric Holder, who said the same thing. But he had a white mother. I mean, they went after the guy that supposedly killed Trayvon Martin because he was half Latino, half white.
Right.
And they called him, what was the name they called him? Something like a Spanish white or a Mexican white. They always put it that way. But Obama had a white mother.
Well, wait a minute. Okay, so I got it. It's not, it is changing the subject, but I'm a little concerned because according to San Francisco, he's a terrorist. And I'm a little concerned to have...
Me?
Yeah, you.
I know.
I'm a little concerned with you bringing, according to the San Francisco Council, bringing this terrorist NRA terrorist group.
I mean, you talk about. How many people has the NRA killed since they've been in existence?
Never.
Huh? Zero?
Right.
Yeah. But then we've got the pro-abortionists who have since recorded time, which was 1970. They started recording abortion counts in 1970. How many do you think?
Oh, I had it up the other day. It's in the millions.
48 million.
Yeah, it's in the millions.
48 million dead from abortions. But we're making a big deal about the NRA, but we don't pay any attention to Planned Parenthood.
Well, we gloss over, and I said this the other day. Okay, the recent shooting in Odessa, Texas. Okay, so supposedly the guy got the gun from somebody that manufactured it or something. I don't know the details yet on that. But what I'm saying is, we have these politicians tell us that it's all about your kids and grandkids' safety and stopping mass murders. And the reality is, it's just two prongs, and that's it. Control the people, and second, rake in the money that they're not getting. Okay, so if you're at home and you're making bullets, you got to press down in the basement. No, seriously, I mean, I'm not saying. I'm just saying, but you got to press down in the basement. You're making them, and you got three neighbors that, you know, guys you've known or ladies for 30 years, and you're a manufacturer to them, and they're losing money on you because you should be licensed, which they should be getting that $125 a year. Then you should be charging taxes that they're. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And people are not picking up. There's that side.
Right. In the state of Georgia, for instance, and it's a legal term, when you sell if I sell you my car, okay, it's referred to as a casual sale.
Absolutely.
And there's no such thing as an attached sales tax to it. The same thing was going on in the firearm industry. If I buy a gun from Josh, it is called a casual sale. What the government is trying to do is they're trying to regulate the ability of Josh to sell a piece of personal property of his to me.
Right.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Those are what they call the loopholes. Okay, so I mean, there might be some validity to that, but they always come back to, well, what about me handing my guns down to my son? How can I can't even will my guns to my son.
Absolutely.
I can't give my son a gun under these new proposed regulations.
Well, the other thing that gets me is, okay, they want to do, they talk red flag laws, and then they want to, the mentally ill. And so let me ask you this. I firmly believe that what they will do is they will set a test. Okay, now it's just like when we go for our driver's license. Okay, we're going to check our eyes. We do the eye test and everything like that. I guarantee you, they want to end up, and people think I'm being extreme on this, they want to end up you a card-carrying sane person. All right, yes, I'm sane. I got a card that says
right.
It. Okay, now how often do you have to go back for your psychological examination, right?
Right.
To see if you've lost it. Is the card going to be good for 4 years and you got to go back, pay another $150, get, you understand what I'm saying?
And who gets to determine
Who gets to determine that?
Yeah. It is just such lunacy when they say, like de Blasio last night, saying that we need to eliminate the assault-type rifles. And that's going to cure the mass shootings that we've experienced.
And the knifings, and the people being run over by vans, and bombs.
Are we going to stop selling auto parts now, just like we can't sell bullets?
I will tell you this.
Because cars kill people?
I will tell you this. I told people on the show this past week, look, I'm not shocked that corporate America with Walmart is getting into the game, what I call with lawmakers, with the CEO of Walmart coming out and saying, hey, there's a lot of good bills on the floor that they won't do their part. We're going to do our part. I think it's all set up. That's just my opinion. I think it's all set up. And what do you think about Walmart coming out this past week? They won't sell certain ammo.
Yeah, they're jumping on the bandwagon with, it could hurt them. It hurt Dick's Sporting Goods when they decided they weren't going to sell guns. Dick's Sporting Goods had a major problem. But I saw one of the better, when you brought up red flag laws, on Twitter yesterday. There was a tweet from somebody after San Francisco. What's the group there that decided to call the NRA is now become a terrorist?
Right, the San Francisco Council
designated the
designated
NRA. Well,
terrorist organization.
This as a terrorist organization. They voted on it, designated this, and somebody sent out a tweet yesterday, and I thought it was very good about the red flag laws, and they said, just remember when you're thinking about red flag laws that the people, like the San Francisco Council, will be able and be given the power to red flag you. If they can just vote on calling an entire organization like the NRA a terrorist group, it's going to be people like that are going to make the decisions to red flag you or the guy across the street.
I agree.
Or the guy down there.
It's not about saving people's lives. It's about government control.
Exactly.
And I don't understand why a sane person doesn't understand that. If we want to stop mass shootings, we've talked about this on the panel before. We have become, as a culture, desensitized to the value of a human life.
Period. I think that really encompasses the whole thing when you start.
I think it just captures.
Have you ever heard anyone actually talk about the cause of what causes and what has happened to our country morally, the decay of the family? I mean, when you start going down that road, they attack you. I mean,
exactly.
They attack you if you. Now they're all open about a law that has more control over you, but to start discussing, I mean, I'm for one. They start bringing out all these studies, but I'm for one. I just do not like these graphic video games.
I agree.
They're realistic, and I think our children, Hollywood. I mean, we like it. We go to the movies. Okay, so we like going to the movies. We love that surround sound. We love hearing the bombs go off.
I
It's
like to
neat.
hear it go.
You like, but realistically, if you go in the last 40 years from movies, kids that go in a movie, they're desensitized to all the killings. I mean, Hollywood will preach to us, and you can walk out of some of those movies and 60-some people got killed or something like that, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then they'll come out and preach to us about gun violence, unless they're making $100 million off the movie. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I mean, the gaming industry out there, I don't have any problem with the gaming industry. It's become very popular, and but just think about when you're given more points to go back and make sure someone is dead in these games, and you get extra points to hammer this guy again. Again, you're just being desensitized to the value of life. That's why capital crime, I mean, that was the ultimate price that you would pay for doing something against another human being. The ultimate price that you'd pay was capital crime, or was capital punishment. You would lose your life.
I don't get you here very often, so let me ask you, are you concerned with lawmakers coming back to Washington, D.C., some of these bills getting on the floor and the president signing something? Are you concerned? All right, as a supporter of the president of the United States, what could he do that would upset you enough to say I'm finished with gun legislation?
Oh, with gun legislation.
With gun legislation.
I think, like I think most people do, I believe that the background checks seem to be the big. We've got to have these. We have background checks. They're in the law.
Right.
If people would follow the law, it's like border control. If we would follow the law, but the Democrats have become to the point where they don't want those laws. They want to make them new laws, but they're there. Just follow the old laws. If we could follow the old laws, this whole thing with guns and knives and bombs and cars, these are bad. These are evil people. These are people who are going to find a way to kill. If they can't do it with a gun, they'll find another way to kill. Unless we can do things to, and I agree with you, we need to improve the family. We need to improve mental health. We need to quit having bees around. And we need to quit showing some of these games but it's not even like they're regulated. Some of these kids are playing games that their parents have no idea what they're doing.
I agree with that.
We need to have families sitting down to dinner together. We need to have phones, iPods, computers put away at dinner time. We need to have a time where family talks. What happened today at school? How are things? How are your friends? Do you have friends? Do you not have friends? You don't have friends? Why don't you have friends? We need to be working with kids to give them a feeling of being good, being right. They don't need to be the best all the time. Sometimes you're going to win, sometimes you're going to lose, and you need to understand the difference. And I believe that's why people are killing. We've got people who are angry, people who are mentally deranged, people who are lonely. And a lot of that has to do with how our society has separated itself from each other. And until we do something with that, you can remove all the guns you want, you can remove all the knives, the cars, whatever. People will find a way to all of a sudden explode. And when some people who keep things bottled up inside because nobody ever asks them what they're thinking, what they want, let them cry, let them laugh. They're going to.
There's a side too that these people, and not to go down a road that I don't have time to get deep into, but there's a side where these mass murderers, they're also turning into TV stars. They're sensationalized. They know as soon as they do something that even if they're shot, they know the next 2 weeks is going to be they're going to be on the front page or something like that. There's a little of that out there, I'll say that, but it's common sense. And when I say I don't want to waste my time, but Odessa, it's sad people are shot and killed, doesn't compare to Labor Day weekend in Chicago.
No, right.
And there's not a gun law, and when you and I say there's not a gun law on the floor, okay, of the House of Representatives now that the president can sign, or even a red flag law, or anything, even with mental illness, there's nothing they can do there that changes what happens this weekend in Chicago. Those are illegal guns. You got, I mean, I don't know why it's not sad. There's a 15-year-old kid that didn't go back to school this week because he was sitting on the front stoop in Chicago and a stray bullet killed him.
Exactly.
And what do you hear when it's brought up about Chicago? Oh, well, you know, it really isn't that bad. It's all attributed to gang violence. But it's still people killing people.
No, gang violence, our law enforcement, okay, if I'm 30-year law enforcement and I'm at year 27, and this is, please, I support law enforcement, but if I'm at year 27 and I'm working with one of these major cities and I got 3 years and everything's done, my pension, and I don't think I want to get involved. I'm not going through what is all the internal stuff and investigations into me, go to court because, you know, I shot and chased a drug dealer to try to stop whatever.
Right.
I got 3 years to go, right? I'm not being negative and saying they don't do their job, but me personally, I would be like, and I think that's happening in the inner cities.
Well, there are a lot of, and the big cities, because they're not being supported very well.
That's exactly right.
By the people who should be. When you're getting splashed with water and people are throwing things at you, and the heads turn their heads and say, they'll take care of those people that did it.
And you're taught in the police academy now.
Right.
That's just absolutely contra to everything that we've come to know and love about.
You're doing a better job at it than I am, because you're doing exactly what I'm trying to say. I'm not being negative to law enforcement, but right now, I mean, the way they get treated, they try to enforce the law. If they're just trying to enforce the law, whatever they're doing, they could be the ones. They see the criminal go to jail on Monday, out on Tuesday afternoon, arrest them back on Wednesday. They do something, and next thing you know, Internal Affairs is calling them in and like, oh, you're only 2 years away from retirement. You're like,
look at how the public sentiment has changed.
Exactly.
Against ICE. I mean, these ladies and gentlemen are out there trying to do exactly what they're sworn to do.
Exactly. Uphold the law.
I mean, they take an oath to go out and do exactly what is written in the statutes, and they're just derided because of that.
Exactly.
I'd say maybe the last thing on the subject, I always say Chicago, but folks, if you would just take a minute and look at, look at Baltimore, look at Atlanta, start adding the death toll, New York City, Newark, South Bend, Indiana, regardless of where it's at across this country, there's not a single law, would you agree, on the floor of the House of Representatives. There's nothing that fixes that unless we just go in and stop these gangs and that violence. It's not going to stop that gun at all, will it?
No. And I know, you know that I had tweeted a few times in my life, but I was reading something that somebody had written in, and I said, well, I just wanted, this was after Beto had been making such a big deal about guns, and I mean about
this is effed up.
Francis, this is his swearing and everything else, but you know, and this woman said he's standing up for this and he's standing up for that, and I said, what's he standing up for? And I said, here's my challenge to you: go buy a handgun, lay it on the highest shelf in your house, and see how many times it jumps off that shelf and kills somebody.
We talked about that last week.
But Beto,
you got the laziest gun in
but Beto would tell you it's going to jump off that shelf and kill somebody. Beto, Francis.
Right.
I think we should call him Francis and quit.
Yeah,
quit doing the other. You're right.
A couple quick subjects. Do you are you concerned about Sharpie Gate?
Sharpie Gate.
I was going to bring my 2 Sharpies today, one for Cindy and myself.
No, what? I don't even know what Sharpie Gate is.
Oh my goodness! Don Lemon and Cuomo have decided that because there was a Sharpie on the chart that President Trump was talking about when the hurricane was coming, and it said that the hurricane was going to go to Alabama, and then the next thing they know,
no, they're actually calling it Sharpie Gate.
They're calling it Sharpie Gate. Yeah. So yesterday he's on the show.
Are you not concerned that maybe one of our official weather maps was altered to make it look like the hurricane was going on? I mean, has that not ruined your day?
Oh my goodness!
Okay, I was just checking.
And they come up with.
They've gone nuts. They've done it again this morning.
Gone nuts. Yeah.
They've gone nuts over this daggone track of it. And the thing that's sad to me is, I watch CNN and I watch MSNBC and I watch the meteorologists. And it's like they're so disappointed that they don't have the devastation. They don't have,
absolutely. How sad is that?
Right, that they can't go find somebody that's buried under something that's still alive and says...
Well, they're going to find it in the Bahamas, I'm afraid.
Well, yes, they are.
I'm telling you. And you brought up something this morning, on the show, and maybe we want to touch on it. You talked about why we need to rebuild or help rebuild the Bahamas.
Now we're gonna get attacked that we didn't care about Puerto Rico, but I'm going to tell you now, if we do not step in and rebuild the Bahamas, work with them, the Chinese are ready. Okay, the Chinese are ready to come in. You guarantee you, communications in our hemisphere here. Communications, power grids.
That's their MO.
Right.
They've done it through Africa.
Exactly.
They've done it through South America.
Thank you. Nobody's paying. Well,
Nobody's paying attention.
Nobody's paying attention of the China. You talk. Okay. What did Obama hate? We were the colonization of the world, right? Right. They hated us. We're bad white people. We went and colonized the world, right?
Mm-hmm. That's what he said.
What's the difference of what China's doing all over?
Exactly. You look at every one of these poor countries in Africa, and who is all of a sudden coming in there, and Huawei is putting all the communication devices in. All of a sudden, it's now they've become a third world nation with cell phones. And why? Because the Chinese are in there taking over, and they're colonizing Africa. You're absolutely right.
Well, you could look at the Bahamas, and, it would be nice if they rebuilt the Bahamas and then built them a couple extra islands to park some naval vessels like they did in the South China Sea, right?
Exactly, yeah. Build a couple more runways.
While Obama, you got your Obama list, while Obama was watching for 8 years, the Chinese went... we hear allies. We never talk about the Japanese, the South Koreans, Indonesia, Philippines, all those areas in the Pacific that are our allies. While Obama watched for 8 years, that administration watched for 8 years as the Chinese said, we're building some resort islands that they now park aircraft carriers next to, right?
Exactly.
And we have, now we're going to get heat.
That's a great point about the Bahamas, though, as to why we need to pay attention. Because because of the colonization by the Chinese.
Well, they're so close. I mean, it's like, they're close. It's a vacation destination for a lot of people in this country.
Nothing like having the Chi-Coms, as Rush would say, 110 miles off the shore.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
What is 110 miles? So nothing like having them off there. And we will get heat because we got a couple subjects, but the media is going nuts over the money that was taking out of the military budget to go to the border wall. They have listed $80 million from this senator's state and this and that. And also last week they went nuts with McElhaney, that's his name, right?
The
Homeland Security Secretary, about the $144 million that's been pulled out of FEMA, right?
Right.
Like, are you sure you have enough money? We could have a disaster. They have been praying for a week.
Well, that's why they were hoping
that there was a disaster.
That FEMA thing came at the same time the story, and that was the underlying.
And just somebody on a camera somewhere said, we need money and we can't get the government to respond. Oh my God, we knew this would happen.
Right.
But no one, Carl Rowe pointed out something the other day. In 1988, they passed the Stafford Act, which delineated the responsibility of the states versus the feds. The first line of defense when you have a national emergency is the state. The state needs to step in, take care of it. Then the federal government will come down and they will appropriate some money to support the state effort. But no one ever talks about that like If the feds don't get in there first, it's over again. Trump will be castigated.
Well, they started out.
Nothing.
We're almost out of time.
They started out with Trump, yeah.
Do you think Biden will be the nominee for the Democrats?
No.
Quickly. Why not? And I say it because I want to get a couple.
I just think he's showing his weaknesses are getting more and more exaggerated, and I think right now he's a safe bet because all the processes haven't started and everything like that. But he gets out there, and every time he gets out there, he digs his hole deeper. To me, his weaknesses.
But it doesn't seem like anybody cares, because I will say this: if you will go to CNN and especially MSNBC after he digs a hole, they help try to line it with gold to explain why he dug it.
Right.
Okay,
but I don't think the people are.
Do you think he's going to be the nominee?
No.
Why not?
Because I don't think he wants to be the president.
He never did. They picked him up in the SUV. He knows where the bodies are buried.
Exactly,
and
they need a deep state connection, and they're afraid that none of these people that are running against him really understand the deep state and how deep it goes and what they have to do to be in compliance with New World Order.
I don't think they can return to what they want as fast with any candidate other than Obama. Immediately they can get back. I don't know. The voters will say, we thought Hillary would be the nominee over Obama, okay? Bill Clinton did not win Iowa. I don't think. Did he win New Hampshire? Did he lose 2 in a row or something? But anyhow, that being said, so we'll see. Okay, right now I think there's only one reason this 74-year-old guy is running for office is because he was told. I think it's smoke and mirrors when it comes out and Obama says, "You didn't have to do this, Joe." I think it's all a lie.
Exactly.
I think it's smoke and mirrors. They're trying to get Obama back in.
You think he'll win Iowa, Biden?
I don't know. I do not know. I know the deep state trying to get him back in. Brexit, will it happen? Will Boris Johnson get it through? And is Brexit just playing out in front of us on what the difficulty it is on trying to drain a swamp, period? Do you think they'll get Brexit?
I do. I
mean, get out?
I think they will. Because there's such a groundswell of support by the people that voted to get out. They're going to be the voice that makes this happen, because they're going to say, "We voted out. We won. Where is our?"
Okay, now wait a minute. I agree with you, but look across the pond here. You do realize, and I know that for our audience out there, Brexit happened before Trump even became president.
Right.
So look at how long. I know it was over a period of time to begin with, but look at how long what the people voted for they've been trying to make happen. And the EU is evil, man. They are straight up evil, and they won't let go. So when you stop and think about Trump and our country and what we voted for, it's tough.
But but that populist movement was already permeating Europe. I mean, there were different spots where a populist candidate like Trump, like Boris, came into office. It wasn't just all of a sudden Trump and then everybody followed suit. I mean, I think this is a worldwide phenomenon.
Quickly, do you have a 30-second explanation on why so many Republicans are retiring? What's your thing?
They say it's age.
No, a lot of them are aging out. I disagree with that. I think they're afraid of exposure. I think there's something that's going to be coming down before this election, and I think if it's exposed, they don't want to be part of it. If Barr does his job,
right,
I think there could be a lot of indictments.
Let me tell you what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned that I hear Trump 2020, and maybe it's just timing, but I don't hear enthusiasm and excitement about Republicans trying to take back the House, and that concerns me. I think every Republican that goes on TV should be talking about how we plan to take back the House, and I don't hear that. Do you?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, we got to get to our next segment, but we always thank you, first of all, Cindy, for coming in and being with us. You're always welcome here. winners and losers, air balls, whatever Bruce calls them. What do you have there?
All right. Where is mine? Oh, did I not bring it? I didn't bring it. Okay. My losers. Bernie Sanders and Kamala Harris are my losers this week.
Okay.
And I think it's pretty obvious why. Bernie, he's going to take care of climate change with population control.
I get it, man. I'm so glad you brought that. Yeah, Bernie.
Really? And he's saying this is okay. This multi-millionaire.
Go into poor countries.
Yeah. Going into poor countries.
Whoa.
We're going to make sure these women don't want those children. They don't want to be having these children. We just need to take care of it. We, the big, powerful United States of America, is going to go in and tell these poor countries that
with our tax dollars,
with our tax dollars, that we need population control. This man's wacko. I mean, he's as wacko as they come at this point. Besides the fact, look at him. Do you really want him representing this country? He's like a nutcase when he talks. My second is Kamala Harris, who is now going to tell you, every one of you, what you can eat, why you can only eat these things, no plastic straws, no plastic bottles.
Plastic bottles are okay if a hurricane comes through.
Right.
Millions of them.
Okay. But, that type of thing. I mean, they're off the rails. And, I mean, off the rails
we'll
is
go
not...
with off the rails.
I was thinking last night, they now want to tell us who can have children, who can't. What kind of religion we can have, because they've disavowed Christianity. So they're telling you where you can and can't have a religion.
The government. When they get done, the younger generation, the government will be their religion.
Will bow down to the government.
Right. All of this, and these are all 10 candidates, somewhere or another fitting into those molds. And I'm going, oh my gosh. I mean, what does this sound like? Sounds to me like communism, Nazism.
All right, you had two losers.
My winner is the lady.
Slow down, Turbo.
My winner is the lady in the Bahamas that rescued 96 dogs, and she's taken them all into her home and on her property during this hurricane.
Till they could
Till they could find homes or go back to their owners.
Yeah.
Rick, what you got?
All right, what do you want first, my loser or my winner?
What direction you want to go?
All right, let's go with the winner first, because it's a good story.
It is.
Chicago Police Department celebrating how do I put this? Yeah, the school opening. There was a Chicago policeman by the name of Eduardo Marmoleo, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who was killed in the line of duty. He and his partner by a train. Their daughter went to school. His daughter went to school for the first time
in Chicago,
to Morgan Park Academy. Her name was Maddie, and the Chicago Police Department just happened to show up and escort her in.
They lined the entire walkway going into the school and clapped for her, and one of them walked her into her first time at this school. That was
my
great story.
Loser.
Drum roll,
my
please.
loser of the week is Dianne Feinstein.
Oh, I love this story.
Dianne Feinstein. She absolutely perpetrated fraud by lying to Congress about prior knowledge about Christine Ballsy Ford, who has now come out and has admitted that the whole thing about her act in trying to get an asterisk in front of Kavanaugh's name as a Supreme Court justice was all planned and rehearsed. And Dianne Feinstein, however you want to say it, was the absolute
catalyst,
catalyst that made that whole thing happen. For her to lie to Congress and say, I didn't know anything about this till it was brought to me. That is absolutely hogwash.
And it was all about abortion.
There was a day lying under oath to Congress was something you didn't do.
Right.
Okay, folks, we have to go, but let me just say this quickly. CNN attempted to tell you that climate change is a crisis. Obviously, you're not as concerned as CNN because the ratings for their 7-hour marathon were in the tank. There was children's shows that beat the ratings of CNN. But CNN spent the other night with climate crisis in America, and all the Democrats showed up. And again, Bernie Sanders said, I'll tell you what, we got to have population control. And he put some things in place that he would do that I can't say anything else but kill certain groups in order to make room for others. Okay, sorry, you got to just wrap your head around this. And another thing, I want to congratulate, it's a winner slash loser. I want to congratulate Casey Hunt from MSNBC. She is a liberal, very liberal, and I've watched Casey Hunt for years. But I love to watch Democrats celebrate a wanted pregnancy, okay? I love to watch that. And then when they want to switch to the unwanted and how much money Planned Parenthood. But if you are in a position like Casey Hunt and her husband, and you got everything planned out the way it should be, then we celebrate the birth of your new child. So congratulations. But the hypocrisy of the liberals that gather around and bring the balloons to celebrate a wanted pregnancy. I'm sorry. Congratulations on your new baby, Casey Hunt. North Georgia Senior Living with Jesse Barton right after this message.
Ace is your healthful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Do you feel like healthcare has become too impersonal?
3 times an hour, I'll get you in, I'll get you out.
At Lifetime Medical Center, you're more than a number. We get to know you, not just your medical issues. Dr. Alana Kent is board certified in family practice and offers same-day appointments. She and her staff treat conditions from minor to chronic issues. Lifetime Medical Center, convenient to Jasper and Blue Ridge.
This may sting a little.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Hey folks, we're back and it's time for North Georgia Senior Living with Community Relations Director from Cameron Hall, Jesse Barton. And we're at Sycamore Crossing here in Blue Ridge. Jesse, how are you today?
I'm good. It's like an early fall morning out here.
It's beautiful, right?
I know. All the shop owners opening and it's
beautiful, and it's not going to be too hot. Josh and I were talking early on, and it's not even been a month ago that early in the morning it was already so hot.
Oh yeah.
And now it's nice and cool, and it'll be a pleasant afternoon. Okay, you said you want to talk about Hurricane Dorian, budget cuts, and you had winners and losers.
No, I think I need to start doing that.
Oh, you want to start doing winners and losers?
Maybe. I kind of got jealous this morning because they had some good winners and losers.
Oh, okay.
I'm sitting over in the corner applauding them. So.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Which one first? Hurricane Dorian, budget cuts. How does it go together? What are we talking about?
So it has been the longest, shortest week, if that makes any sense. We were off Monday somewhat.
You're right. I got it. Monday. All right, so we went right into Tuesday, so it's the longest, shortest week. Got it.
4-day week for most people. Obviously, us in senior living, we did have some folks that worked Monday. I was scheduled to be off. I'd worked Saturday, and we get the announcement Savannah has to be evacuated. So we have 3 properties in Savannah. If there is a mandatory evacuation, we have to take our residents. So we have independent residents, we have assisted living residents, memory care residents, and skilled nursing residents within those 3 properties. We also got some folks and friends from some of our properties in South Carolina. So, mandatory evacuation.
These are the kind of things that I just don't think about.
Right?
Interesting.
Right.
Keep going.
So can you imagine? I mean, I have so much respect for the staff that is helping. Obviously, some families came and got their loved one and took them with them. But a lot of them let their family member come to this safe place up in the North Georgia area. So some of our properties in our area received several of our residents. One of my properties received 89 people. And that's staff members, and they bring their kids with them too, because we have to have extra staff members. They can't leave their kids. So we're making accommodations for all these people.
Well, not that it's okay, but if you're in a zone that has, you have a mandatory evacuation, and you're an individual, you have your property, and you decide to, lack of a better way to put it, ride out the storm, that's up to you, okay? And local authority and federal and so forth can't guarantee you services or help until they're able to get in there.
True.
But if you, assisted living, if your company is under a mandatory evacuation, you don't get that option. You can't say you have to evacuate. So that's a big undertaking.
And that's part of the state regulations. I mean, because these are folks that we've got to be able, especially our skilled nursing and some of our assisted, they've got to have access to their oxygen machines.
Right.
They have to have access to their medications. So if you think about what all it takes on their end to put together their personal, throw a bag together, throw their medications, and not just throw their medications in a vehicle like we might, but there's got to be a system in place. There's got to be a system for keeping up. Then you're providing care for all these folks.
So even though your facility is up here in Ellijay in the North Georgia mountains, and we don't go through evacuations much like the coast,
right,
you still have to have that evacuation plan.
We do. For natural disasters,
right,
we do have to have that. That is a state requirement. And so what was fun, though, and this is just my little overachieverness, I got to go shopping Monday. We put little hygiene kits together for all these people, like a little welcome bag that had crackers and their toiletries in it, because they may not have the opportunity to grab all of that stuff, or they may forget something. So that's how I spent my Monday, and poor Brian went along with me, and he was so good, but we shopped all day and got all these things together, and it was just eye-opening as we're putting together almost 200 hospitality kits.
Right.
Gosh, these people are, this is a tough situation.
Well, those are a lot of things all the way up the coast. You just think of Savannah, you think of Charleston, all the way up to the Outer Banks of North Carolina, all the way up the coast. Several states had mandatory evacuation counties, and that was happening everywhere.
Right.
Now, Hurricane Dorian. So how are we going to switch into budget cuts?
So I get up this morning, kind of waking up, so I scroll through social media. And Facebook always seems to say, what's on your mind? So it didn't really want to know what was on my mind after I'd scrolled through. First, I got excited because I looked in my memories, and I guess 7 years ago today, I had my first interview at Cameron Hall, so I was making my big adult decision on career change.
Wow.
And so that was kind of neat because I was like, oh wow, 7 years ago I was getting ready for this, exactly where God had his plan for me was to be in senior living. So that was all exciting.
That too. Wow.
Do you?
Yes,
yeah, that's been a while.
We've been around a couple of years,
Just a few. So then I'm scrolling through, and I follow lots of our state legislature as far as aging services on social media, and funding cuts announced with a big exclamation point. The DHS board met today and approved the following budget reductions to meet Governor Kemp's mandatory budget cuts. The fiscal year 2020 cuts start next month, October. So for fiscal year 2020, they have a 4% cut. 4% doesn't sound like a lot, but for home and community-based services, these are things such as helping you pay for assistance to get medical care if you can't afford it. Almost an $800,000 cut. Our Meals on Wheels program, almost a $400,000 cut. These are essential services that are so desperately needed in our area. But it gets better. In 2021, we're going up to a 6% cut. 4% wasn't enough. So you've got over $1 million cut in home and community-based services for 2021. You've got $700,000 cut in our Meals on Wheels program. So we're cutting funds, and it's increasing at the same time that our elderly population is increasing. Where does that make sense?
Well, I will tell you this now, teeter just a little bit on the opinion side.
Yeah.
I think government is bloated, but I believe in targeted cuts.
Yeah.
So if you're going to take our aging population that is going here, obviously you can't go here with the money that you have allotted to follow that growth there. But I would say there's other areas. So and then what I think what happens, and not get into our governor and our legislature and start getting deep into that, I think what happens is, if they don't just say mandatory cut across the board, then these people say, well, you didn't cut them. And
That's
you
true.
Didn't cut them.
That's true.
But I believe in targeted cuts.
Sure.
I believe in fully funding needs, not wants, needs.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And then I believe in targeted cuts in areas where I just don't think we have to spend that much money.
Yeah.
So I for one, without going into the details, I would have concerns. We should do another show on it, because when we get into what I call our aging population, that's basically given all to this country and paid their taxes their whole life, it seems like that's when we don't say thank you. I don't know.
Right.
I you know what I mean? I don't know.
And it does open the book. And that's just, it's definitely my initial reaction. I haven't had time to research more this morning. It just hurts my heart a little bit knowing that especially that meals program, because we are in an area of Georgia that is not extremely wealthy. So a lot of people rely on these, Meals on Wheels programs. So I definitely am going to delve in a little deeper. I agree with you. We can always use budget cuts in some areas that we have fluff. I mean, that's personally and government-wise. So I'm interested to see if there could have been other areas, where they could have cut.
You can cut, and you can cut back in areas. So if you say, look, we need this nourishment, X, but we don't need all the microwave popcorn, we can maybe cut that box out. And that's what I'm calling targeted things.
Yeah.
But things like this for our seniors, I do get concerned also.
Yeah.
But don't get me started. See, come on there. Get me
I know. I'm being inspired by the political panel. And I don't think I respect our governor. And
How about that?
Yeah.
We'll probably need to get to the pooch. Okay. How about that?
Brian's
Okay.
like, we're cutting her.
Yeah. No. Let's slow the life raft over there. Let's go to the pooch. Listen, this is Jesse Barton. That's Jesse Barton, Community Relations Director, North Georgia Senior Living at Cameron Hall. Tell them how to, and you want to get in touch with her if you have questions, because I tell you what, you always bring something that I'm just not aware of, and it's great information. I was not thinking at all about the alcohol facilities, whatever, because there's different ones, memory care, but assisted living, that when mandatory evacuations, they have to come out. And you guys did a lot of hosting this past week. If let's say someone has a family member who hosts a community, and they want to deal with that, they want to come to the North Georgia Mountains, how do they get in touch with you?
Sure. Give me a call at 706-515-4100 or find us on the web at CameronHallofLJ.com.
I call her the Senior Citizen Concierge. Anything you need, get in touch with Jessie. It doesn't matter what it is, and she will help you any way she can and get you the information or the people to talk to, whatever your question may be. North Georgia Senior Living with Jesse Barton, Community Relations Director, Cameron Hall. We're going to take a break, and we got a break.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in Ella next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in Ella next to Walmart.
Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Circuit World, with multiple locations to serve you in Murphy and Franklin, North Carolina, Blairsville, Blue Ridge, and Ella, Georgia. Locally owned and operated since 1985. Appliances, electronics, and furniture. Name brand products like LG, Samsung, Dell, Whirlpool, Ashley, Catnapper, and more. No credit check, only 10% down on furniture, and only $10 down on any new lease purchase. Mention FYN10 for your special deal today at Circuit World.
Who are you?
This
Let me
is
see your
Oliver.
teeth. Smile. Smile. Get your paws off. Hi, Oliver. You give kisses?
Not really.
Not really?
No.
Hey, I'm your host, BKP, and this is how we round out our week, and we love, oh, Oliver. Oh, smile. Let me see your little choppers. Oh, you got a pretty, oh, look at that pretty smile. This is Oliver from the Humane Society of Blue Ridge. I get sidetracked sometimes. Obviously, Rena's here. I'm sorry, Rena.
That's okay.
I'm terrible.
I'm used to it. That's
All
okay.
right. And tell us a little bit about Oliver.
Okay, this is Oliver. He's about 2 years old. He came from animal control. This is it. This is Oliver. This is it. He wants to be with his human. His worst trait is the fact that he will cry if you're not with him. I mean, he just wants to be with his human. He wants to ride. He wants to walk. He wants to. Well, he doesn't really play much. He just wants to be by your side all the time. He loves his neck rubs. I'm trying to keep him up here so he can sit down.
Who is the puppy? Oliver. How old is Oliver?
About 2. And if you can see, he's got little scars all over his body, so his life has been less than perfect, but he is a great dog. Now, he has a possible pre-adoption on him. She's going to come back and work with him, but what that means is if you are interested in Oliver, please come on down and see him, because we have had many pre-adoptions that have fallen through, and then the dog sits there longer because someone thinks, oh, well, he's already got an adoption, I'm not going to look at him. And that's not true, you know.
So the explanation you're giving is, I'm seeing companion dog.
Oh my gosh, yes, totally companion. And like I said, his worst trait is the fact that he cries if you're not around.
Oh, Oliver.
But as you can see, he'll probably lay in bed with you. He'll sit on the furniture with you. He's a great dog. He just got neutered, so he's pretty much ready to go home. If you like Oliver, come on out and see him and just ask about the pre-adoption and say, is he getting adopted or is he available? And if he is getting adopted, we have so many other really good dogs that need homes, and cats and kittens that need some homes. So it won't be a wasted trip to come on out and see if Oliver's still available. We are open Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 to 5, and Saturday, 10 to 2. And if you want to call first, 706-632-4357, and follow us on Facebook, and go to our website, which is humanesocietyofblueridge.org. But he's just, this is it.
You know what? And I want to say about the Humane Society of Blue Ridge, they do a great job. I mean, they really do, of helping you find that we like the one-time adoption. We like for them to find these pets, for you to find your forever friend and companion, and for these pets to find their forever home. So they do an outstanding job. So many pets out there matching up family, children, if you have other dogs or pets in the house, and if it's just a companion dog. So they do a great job out there. If you have other pets, you contact them, give them all the details. They will schedule a meet and greet. If you have children, you want to bring the children up. You don't want to just come up.
Yeah.
I would say this. Now, tell me when I'm wrong. I don't like to sound firm, but I don't think you just surprise kids with a dog. You got to be careful.
Right. Yeah.
You could surprise them with a trip to the Humane Society, and then see how dogs react to children, because all too many times people intentions are good, but they'll adopt a dog that they're not sure is going to be, good with another dog in the house or good with children.
He doesn't seem aggressive with dogs at all. He would probably be a great dog for a child. And if you want to surprise your child, you just come out and you show them the dog, see which one your child likes.
Exactly.
And then say, well, we were just looking, and then bring home the dog the next time.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I didn't want to get too far into that, but what I wanted to do is just highlight what a great job you guys do with that at the Humane Society of Blue Ridge. Again, he's got a couple little scars, so he's had a tough time. He's had a little, but I tell you what, he's very calm.
Very calm.
Very calm.
And such loyalty, I'm telling you. He has so much loyalty for you.
Well, you want to ride on the beer truck? Is that what it is? All right, you're going to ride on the beer truck. What's his name again?
Oliver.
Oliver. hey, let's find Oliver his forever home. And hey, if you want to look at all the pets, you go to humanesocietyofblueridge.org. They're all on there, all the details of their hours of operation, also their Facebook page, humanesocietyofblueridge.org. Rena, I thank you every week. All the volunteers, never want to go without all the volunteers at the Humane Society of Blue Ridge. We thank you very much, and each and every one that work with these great pets. Oliver, we're trying. Now, if you have a pre-adoption, we hope everything goes through and you're happy,
that would
okay?
be nice, yeah.
Folks, that's it. Friday night football. It's football weather, high school football weather, so it's time for Friday night football. Check out fetchyournews.com. Team FYN Sports for the Friday night highlight. You chill for a minute. All right, all over North Georgia. Follow Team FYN Sports on Twitter, Team FYN Sports on Instagram.